I started understanding graphite, and I had no idea.
Right.
And I visited Japan a lot,
Mm.
and I would say 2000 and you know 15, 16, 17, 18 even.
Mm-hmm.
Like you felt like Japan will be the source of this
Yeah.
because cell technology sat there,
Mm-hmm.
and Korea a little bit, but China wasn't spoken about so
Right.
much. And that threat of overcapacity in China wasn't a threat 10 years ago.
Mm.
But the Japanese, I felt, saw it coming,
Yeah.
and they kind of withdrew to say,
Mm.
look, we are not strong at industrializing. We cannot compete on scale with the
Yeah.
Chinese, and the market is growing too fast in China.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of, while they had great tech, they
Yeah.
kind of closed up to
Yeah.
be the supplier to the world.
Mm.
Companies like Hitachi said, look, we're going to move out of this space.
Right.
So at that time, there was a conscious effort that natural graphite will be the winner. So
Mm-hmm.
there's natural graphite and synthetic graphite.
Right.
Natural graphite is made out of flake graphite that comes out of the earth, and synthetic graphite is made out of
Mm-hmm.
either petroleum coke or meso coke that
Right.
we manufacture.
Mm-hmm.
So the focus was always natural graphite, and the world took a view that
Mm.
natural graphite is amply available,
Mm.
and so this will be the winner.
Mm.
I think you have to understand the technicality of graphite. It's a very high safety, fast charging,
Right.
long range kind of product that defines that in a cell.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody understood that.
Right.
From a cost point of view, the
Mm.
cathode costs more.
Right.
So you'll always see customers first say, look, I need to figure out my
Yeah.
cathode. I need to tie in a supplier. I need to
Right.
control that cost.
Mm-hmm.
And they always ignored anode because it's about 10 to 12% of their cost,
Right.
but 25% by volume.
Yes.
And they just kept looking at China and said, look, it's all available, it's all available. Let's keep focusing on cathode.
Right.
In the meantime, Chinese kept building capacity.
Mm.
This was one of the new energy sectors that the government was promoting.
Mm.
So investment, subsidies,
Mm.
all flew in.
Yes.
Today, China produces about 2 million tons of graphite, to
Two
give you
million
a scale,
tons.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The only large natural graphite producer
Mm.
outside China is POSCO in Korea,
Mm.
80,000 tons.
Mm.
But when you talk about synthetic graphite,
Mm.
we have a 2,000-ton plant in Karnataka.
Mm.
I would say that's the largest ex-China synthetic graphite plant. So you're talking 2 million
Mm.
and 2,000. They're
Right.
totally different ends of the spectrum.
Right.
So the challenge lies in technology, in
Yeah.
scaling up, and industrializing, commercializing.
Right.
But what happened in the last 3, 4 years, people started pivoting more to synthetic
Yes.
graphite over natural. And now it's very apparent
Mm-hmm.
that synthetic graphite will be the winner, at least for the next decade,
Mm.
when it comes to graphite anode materials because of cost,
Right.
because of high performance.
Mm-hmm.
And as you move more and more to LFP chemistry,
Mm.
you need a synthetic graphite. So LFP doesn't work well with natural graphite, which
Right.
not many people know.
Right.
So you can talk LFP and cost and fire
Right.
safety,
Mm.
but that means you need synthetic graphite with
Right.
LFP to get that cell performance.
So is synthetic graphite also favorable for improvement in terms of your battery performance, your charging, etc.
Yeah.
And what's about is the scenario about availability? Like for example, initially it was assumed that natural graphite is going to win the race, but as you said, now synthetic is going to kind of be the mainstream.
Yeah.
So,
So what mature customers actually do is that they blend it.
mm,
So they have a blend of natural and synthetic. It could
mm,
be 50-50, it could be 70-30.
right.
That is their secret recipe,
Mm-hmm,
right? We are one of the few companies that does both natural and synthetic,
right.
but synthetic is obviously our forward integration, and that's where
Mm,
most of the market demand comes from. And so we focus on synthetic
right.
graphite
Right.
more. So it's not like one is a winner or loser.
Right.
Customers need both.
Yes.
They usually go to two different suppliers.
Mm,
In our case, they come to us for both products.
mm,
Synthetic graphite, you can fine tune.
right.
Let me say you can customize more easily
Right.
because you're working on carbon elements. And at
Yes.
the end, you convert it to graphite at 3000 degrees.
Mm,
Natural graphite has certain limitations because you're digging it out of the earth and it comes with a certain,
right.
say, carbon structure, graphite
Mm,
structure.
mm-hmm,
So then you have certain limitations, but each has a pro and a con. You
right.
have to really marry it in the cell chemistry that a cell customer
Right. Right.
has.
And there are talks about silicon based anodes also, right?
Yeah.
But I think as of now, we can take a fair guess that the synthetic one is going to be mainstream for
Yeah, yeah.
next
So
decade.
silicon is definitely very interesting, and we are been working on it for 2 years also.
Mm,
But people are not aware that silicon will not replace graphite. Silicon
right.
will complement graphite. So it
Okay.
could be 5%, it could be 10%.
Mm-hmm,
Today, I would say most things are 5 to 10%
mm,
already
right.
in cars and consumer batteries. but it will never go to 30, 40%.
Right. Right.
So it's good to work on silicon, and
Right.
I think it's important for the industry to move up the, say, performance value chain,
Right.
but it'll never replace graphite. Someone still needs to
Okay.
make that synthetic graphite.
Yeah. Okay. So you talked about, right? You already have built a facility about 200,000 tons.
2000.
2,000 tons, and there are definitely plans, right? And I think 2,000 tons, the plant which you have built is mainly for customer qualification, if my understanding is correct.
Yeah.
This customer qualification, I want to go a little deeper and understand in a better way, because I was reading and I understood that around 18 to 24 months it takes to qualify a customer minimum, right? Mainly because of the testing requirements from the cell manufacturers, if my understanding is correct.
Yeah.
So how can a company be so patient about 24 months? And I just wanted to understand this process a little detail, what it takes and how you qualify the customer.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Three products are very important for customer cell performance: anode, cathode, and electrolyte.
Yes.
They're highly technical products.
Yes.
These are not off-the-shelf products like nickel sulfate or lithium carbonate, where you just hit a purity and it's good to use.
Yeah.
So these are three products. They require a long, say, qualification journey, and it's unfortunately, I wish it was 18 to 24 months. It's more like 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years.
Yeah. So you need to be very, very patient.
Mm.
I can tell you a little bit about our journey.
Please, please.
Right. So when we started in 2021, we were giving customers from our pilot plant 1 kg samples.
Okay.
So we start off and we say, look, we have product A, B, and C,
Yeah.
generic specification.
Yes.
Which one do you think you like? He said, okay, give me product A and B. So he takes A and B, he puts it into a coin cell. 3 months later, he comes back, says, look, I like A, but these few parameters need to improve. Okay, he gives us some feedback. We start improving product A. So he might say, look, I need capacity 355. I need cycle life, 3C charge this much. I need lithium plating so much. So certain parameters, we don't understand really what he's doing,
Yeah.
because he has his cathode, his electrolyte, his so many secret parts.
And things are also changing much faster, right? Maybe they are also improving.
Yeah. So they're always pushing the boundary.
Yeah.
They ask you for this,
Yeah.
and then they say 3 months later, but I just want a little bit more,
Right.
because it gives them a cell benefit.
Right.
So then you go back to them.
Mm-hmm.
So every time he asks me change something, I have to go back. I have to make a new coke. I have to make a new graphite. That's about 2 months. I have to make a cell in my lab and generate data. That's another 2 months. Right. Then I give him the product, saying, look, it performed like this. He takes another 3 months. So now it's been 7 months.
Yeah.
Since he told me. He comes back and says, okay, but now change this.
Okay.
Okay, I start again.
Right.
But this time I've learned a bit more. So 7 months, it might take me 4 to 5 months.
5 months, yes.
So this iterative journey continues at a kg scale, 1, 2 kgs, that's it.
Understood.
I can say about 3 years have gone by and I've just been supplying kgs. Then he says, okay, now you 1 kg sample, all 8 of 8 parameters have been met.
Okay.
Now give me 500 kgs or give me ton. He says, you can do great things in a lab or a small pilot line. But if I'm going to take a lot from you, I need to see commercial scale.
Right.
So this is where we build a commercial plant, which we call a customer qualification plant, EAM1, where we produce at ton scale.
Okay.
So now we produce 5 tons. So the whole process is much larger. So imagine a 2,000 ton plant just making 5 tons. But that proves to the customer that our technology is commercialized.
Right.
It's scaled up. There is no risk in technology scale up. Then he also commits a lot more. He puts it into a pouch cell, a multi-layer pouch cell. So he's investing a lot more in taking trials as well. Then he gets the confidence.
Right.
So that takes another 18 months. So basically from the day I contacted the customer, it's been 4 to 5 years.